It sets up so perfectly for all of you, for all of us, that the life that you are living is causing you to put the pieces there in a way that you do not have to be all wadded up in them. In other words, the pure desires are coming out of life and going into your vortex. If what life means to you, if what your daily decisions are about, if what you're reaching for is this unconditional alignment with that source energy, then all of the details that you could ever wish for come about.
Yes.
In ways that it feels as if, because it is, the universe knows every nuance of everything that is important to you. Esther woke up one morning in her new house in Utah. And it's a big house, and she was there alone, and she woke up, and as soon as she opened her eyes, the thought that was in her mind, because she was in the receptive mode. You wake up in the receptive mode. You do. You wake up in the receptive mode. Just accept it for a moment and listen for a minute. Something's going to be there for you. And Mark Twain was on her mind. Mark Twain. Mark Twain. She's thinking about Mark Twain, the books he's written. And that led her to the thought about years before, many, many, many years before, in the early 80s, Jerry and Esther had a friend in Tucson who had a series of Mark Twain books. They were signed by Mark Twain, Samuel Clemens. He signed both names. And Jerry and Esther were unaware of the depth and breadth of his work. And this woman, because these books were valuable, she let them take one book every week and read it and then return it and take another. And so they took all 26 volumes and read them together and devoured them, enjoyed every one of them. Some especially, like the Recollections of Joan of Arc. Such magnificent, intuitive, receptive writing. And Esther and Jerry knew right from the beginning that this consciousness is part of what they are. In other words, they could feel the harmony of this energy of this writing. They could feel the depth of their soul being the depth of that soul. In other words, a sort of recognition of a soulmate in this writing. And so Esther was always going to see if she could find those books for Jerry, but she never really got around to it. The internet wasn't around, and so she made some efforts at finding some of these books and didn't find them, gave up on the idea. So this morning Esther wakes up and Mark Twain is on her mind, and she's thinking, ooh, I bet I could find those books now. And I have these beautiful shelves in this beautiful library where they would look so good and feel so good. I want those books. I want those books. This fresh desire. I want those books. So she went to her computer and in 5 minutes found them. In 5 minutes found them, pushed the button, they'll be here tomorrow. And she was breathless with the idea of them. Now this is a desire that she didn't realize that was even within her until she woke up with it. And it gave her such exhilaration because there was nothing to contradict it. Are you getting the sense of it? And within a moment, those thoughts had begun to turn to things. It was so fast, and it was interesting to Esther because it's something that she had long ago wanted and not gotten anywhere on, and now all of a sudden she wants it, and boom, here it is. It's on the way. She could almost see them putting the books in the boxes in that moment, which they were doing. So now Esther is with her friend. They go into the city. They have lunch at a restaurant, and right around the corner from this restaurant is an antique store. And so the desire to be in that antique store is overwhelming. They walk in. Esther walks in. It's 3 stories. It's a very large building. Walks in, goes, back, and stops for the first time in front of a statue, a brass statue. And she says to the man, "Is that who I think it is?" And he says, "If you think that's Joan of Arc, that's who you think it is." And Esther said, "I want that." So she takes the statue, puts it on the shelf. The next day the books are going to arrive. Then a friend comes. He is standing out in the yard. They're painting the house and they're looking up at some of the wrought iron, and he says, "Woo," or something that sounded like that. "Woo." And Esther says, "What?" He said, "Woo." That looks like and it's the iron grate. And Esther's thinking he's saying bull, and she's thinking, Well, it doesn't really look like a bull to me, but okay. Okay, yeah. Yeah, I can kind of see that, she says. And so then they go inside. A little bit of time passes, and they're sitting in some chairs next to a big, beautiful wrought iron lamp that is an owl, like Solomon. And he says the same word, wua. And Esther says, oh, are you saying owl? He says, yes, saying it in Spanish. And so now she wants to go back out and look at the iron grate. Oh, now I see. Yes, I can see that that is an owl. She had never noticed that before. So now, there's a point to all of this. So now, you're going to like it when we finally get there. Now, she's in the store. She's got Joan of Arc in her arms. The antique dealer is telling Esther what a prized possession she has. He explains to her that it was created by a Frenchman in France, which is where Mark Twain was when he did the research for the Joan of Arc book. And the name of the man is that same name of bull in Spanish. And Esther is thinking, you guys are going to a whole lot of effort just showing off for me. You know every single thing that matters to me, and you know every single thing that is anywhere in vicinity of where I am, and you know how to guide me with feeling to a never-ending stream of things that are connected in ways that you just couldn't make it up, and you couldn't coordinate it, you couldn't make it happen, you could not organize it, but non-physical can. Non-physical knows every human who has ever been, knows every human who now is, knows every connection to everything that matters to you, knows everything. And what is the purpose of the inspiration that is given to you? To surprise and delight you, to support you, to make you understand that you are understood, to make you understand that not only are you understood, but that you are important enough that the non-physical energies will go to any detail and any length in order to satisfy you in any way that is even remotely possible. And all you got to do to get into this never-ending stream of wonderful things unfolding for you, all you got to do in order to be the object of attention of source energy, all you got to do to live happily ever after and fulfill your reason for being, which is to live happily ever after. That's your purpose for being, is to live happily ever after. That's your purpose for being, is to live happily ever after. That is the reason that we all exist. We are joy-seeking, joy-finding, creative genius beings, and it all exists for the pleasure and the joy of becoming. And you can't stop becoming, but you do have the option of becoming while you're happy or becoming while you're not happy, but you never stop becoming. None of us do. It is our desire that you begin to recognize the attention that Source is giving to you all the time. And it is our powerful desire that your powerful desire be to have a powerful desire. To be in the receptive mode, so that a fresh desire can hatch within you, and you can feel the euphoria that comes when it does hatch, and then you can watch the universe display unbelievable logistics and dynamics and ability to yield to you in great detail everything that is important to you. And the more in alignment you are, the more detail comes. And the more detail comes, the more worthy you feel. And the more worthy you feel, the more detail comes. And the more detail comes, the more worthy you feel. The more tuned in, tapped in, turned on you get, the more things are fulfilled through you. Until you find yourself in this obnoxious seeming, it isn't, state of being where you feel invincible, where you know that there is nothing that you cannot be or do or have. It's just a matter of letting life help you to sift and sort it out until it's a vortex version, and then receive the inspiration, and then off you go. We would like you just for a day or two to let every desire that you think you have just lie dormant for a while. We would like you to say to the universe, I'd like to know what my true desires are. I'd like to know what I've whooped up for myself in my vortex. I'd like to know what you've been working on. I'd like to know what law of attraction has been emphasizing. I'd like to know what's swirled up there. I want to know what's ripe for the picking. I'm going to get in the receptive mode, and I'm going to start plucking what's ripe for the picking. And from this day forward, I'm only going to do those things that I really want to do.